Hey guys. Wow, that is loud. Let me turn that mic down. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Cool guys. What's up? Drop your Spanish questions there. And by the way, if you're on Instagram, obviously welcome. But if you do want a slightly better viewing experience, you might want to go to YouTube. Just whenever I end up like sharing my screen and doing some examples. But if you can see it, fine. Hey, even better. But anyways, ask any Spanish questions that you got, guys. Thanks for being here. And what we got to say. What's up? Let me pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are actually saying. That would help a lot. Hola, hola. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo estamos? Welcome, everyone. Hello, here, Lolita. Hello, Ellen. Working good. Thanks, Maria. Drop your Spanish questions in the chat. Let's get it going. And here for you guys. Let me know what kind of questions you got. Welcome if you're on YouTube or Instagram. I'm just going live really quick. Hey, Randria de Madagascar. Hola, Dave. So this is all for any Q&A. Wanted to go live for just a few minutes and just connect with you guys again. It's been a while, and let you see what Spanish questions you got. Throw them at me. I want to hear them. So hopefully everything sounds okay and the audio is decent. It's not crazy. But whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, drop any comment. Just with any Spanish question. Oops. Even if it's just what you're struggling with. So I got a couple questions. First one's from Dave. Dave asks, what's the best place to find vocabulary lists for uploading to apps like Quizlet? Personally, I might just use ChatGPT, honestly. You could say, hey, ChatGPT, give me some vocabulary lists depending on the situation. When it comes to vocabulary in Spanish, I always recommend to, it sounds weird, but I recommend not to really focus on it. I'd rather you don't go looking for a list of vocabulary words unless they're actually useful to you, because if you go looking up, okay, I'm going to learn today all the different types of food in Spanish, but you're not ever, but like you learn the word for cucumber, but you never cook a cucumber in your life. So like, why would you focus on that? Right? Like, why would you put so much of a focus on learning vocabulary words and things that you're not realistically gonna use? So I would, but if you're gonna go to like Spain tomorrow and you're gonna be talking at a cafe in Spain, then definitely look up before you go that type of vocabulary, but don't put such an emphasis on it. So yeah, how many hours a day should one practice Spanish? I don't think of it. So I wouldn't. Here's the problem with the way that people look at Spanish is they look at it as like just a different subject at school. Where they look at it like, okay, I need to put, as if it were like a math class or a science class where it's, hey, I'm going to put an hour a day into this. And some people want that structure. I get that. But here's the thing. You need to treat Spanish more like a language. Okay, so Spanish is a language. It's not like a subject. It's not like math. It's not like science. It's not like any of those other things. You need to find ways to make it a part of your life. And that could be putting your phone in Spanish. That could be listening to your songs in Spanish, singing along to things. It could be looking for people to talk to, whether you look for private tutors or you go on free apps and language exchange apps, whatever it is, but find a way to make it a part of your life. And a lot of that just has to do with convincing your brain to start thinking in Spanish, start trying to translate anything and everything that you possibly can. And so that's what I really recommend doing. Don't think of it so much as how much should I practice every day. It's like, how can I incorporate Spanish into my life every day so that throughout the entire day you're always in the back of your mind trying to use Spanish. Obviously, there's going to be times where you need to study, you need to like look up how to conjugate a certain verb a certain way. You've got to look up vocabulary lists and all of that. But that's just whenever you need to, and everything else throughout your day should just be incorporating Spanish into a part of your life and practicing. I got a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to get to all of them, by the way. So if you leave a comment, I'm going to try to get to all of as many questions as I can. I've got a comment from YouTube, which is nice, which means I can pull it up on the screen. What's the best way to learn on a commute to work without causing imbalance between listening and speaking? I think I think that you're kind of asking, like, okay, if I'm driving on a long trip, what are some resources that I can use? So I'll give you a couple. Number one, get obsessed with a few songs that you can really enjoy and sing along to. That's great speaking practice. Obviously, it's listening practice, but if you sing along to songs, it's one of the best ways to practice your speaking and commit things to muscle memory. I think muscle memory is so underrated when it comes to Spanish. Like, people ask, how do I stop translating so much in my head? And the answer to that is you have to commit things to muscle memory. You don't think about and translate what you're saying in English. You've just said it so many times through repetition, through songs, all of this stuff, and it's just muscle memory to you. So I would start with songs, and if you're going to listen to any sort of podcast in Spanish, then my biggest tip is try not to understand every single thing that's being said. Maybe news podcasts in Spanish will be easier, like news stories. I'm not really sure. I didn't personally listen to a lot of podcasts in Spanish when I was learning. I've heard a lot of great things about an app called Pimsleur, Pimsleur. Heard a lot of good things about Pimsleur, so I would look into that personally if you're driving a lot. Do you have a full course? So I do have a full Spanish course, and the best way to actually learn about it and hear more and get a discount on it is this free training. So if you go to the first link in my bio on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, it's in the description, or you can just go to michaelharperspanish.com and click on Let's Get Started. You'll learn more. First, you'll learn about my methodology. That's a free training. You'll learn about my tips to accelerate your Spanish learning, to learn faster, what you should focus on, what resources to use, and more. That way, at the end, you'll learn more about my full program in that free training if it's something that you're interested in signing up for. So that's the best way to hear more about it. Let me see some of these comments. Just scrolling through a couple. All right, so K versus low K. I'm going to try to share my screen for this one. Just give me a sec. Okay, so now you should be able to see my screen. K versus low K. Really, K is like for questions, pretty much. It can be for comparing things when you use like the word than. So more than you would be más que tú, for example. But lo que is when you can replace it with that which in a sentence, or when there is something else going on. And this is when we say what. So, for example, I meant to make this bigger. Sorry. So you can see, especially if you're on Instagram. What I meant was, you would say lo que quise decir fue. By the way, to mean to say, you literally want to say want to say. So what I wanted to say is what I meant to say. And that is the use of lo que. When there's something else going on, you're not going to say, like, here, there's something else. What I meant to say is that something else, and that's why we're using lo que. And so that's why you use it there. Que is just like what, literally what is something, what something is. Like if I say, what is that? That's going to be que es eso. You're not going to say lo que es because we couldn't replace this with that which. We're not going to say that which is what is that. That doesn't make sense. But here we could say that which I meant to say was. So anytime you can replace it with that which, definitely use it. Pretty much all the time you're going to say what in the middle of a sentence, you can replace it with that which, and you can make it that way. So my last tip when it comes to lo que is that it's really a feel thing. You really get the feel for it. So now that you kind of know how it works, you can be on the lookout for different uses of it. and you'll notice it more, and then it'll just kind of start to feel right, if that makes sense. Let me know if you have more questions with that. Struggling with the preterite and imperfect tense, I'm going to give you a very quick idea when it comes to the preterite and imperfect. I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but for the most part, and I'm sure if you've studied Spanish at all for a while, you'll know that preterite is for completed actions, imperfect, ongoing. I'm going to break this down so that it's much easier to understand conceptually. First of all, I'm going to give you two things. When in doubt, use imperfect unless you are sure it is a completed action. This right here sums up when and when not to use the imperfect and preterite. And how do you know? If I say the party was great, and it's one of those where it's a gray area. I could use the imperfect there. I could also use the preterite. If I say the party was great and I'm using the preterite, it implies that the party is done. It's completed. It's a completed action. The party's done with. If I use it as imperfect, it's kind of implying that the party is still going on, or I'm just describing something about the party. So you can always resort to that rule in your head where I'm just going to default to the imperfect unless I know 100% that whatever happened is done. It's over with, for sure. The meeting was boring, but I know that the meeting's over with, so it's preterite. But if I had used the imperfect in that scenario, it might not even have sounded that bad. Looking through some of your other questions, guys. And if you need me to go into more detail, or you have follow-up questions, just let me know, guys. Any tips to understand the Colombian accent? They speak so fast. I would try to find some people that are from Colombia that you can try and speak with as much as possible. So maybe get on some exchange apps like Hello Talk or Tandem, Facebook groups, maybe pay someone on italki, a Colombian tutor, to just talk to as much as you possibly can. A lot of times you can get Colombian tutors for $5 to $10 an hour, honestly, on apps like italki and Preply. And so I would do that. And eventually you'll just get the feel for how it sounds. You'll get better at it. You could also get creative and look for some maybe vloggers on YouTube. So if you find some people that make YouTube videos that are from Colombia and do all their videos in Spanish, you can slow down the videos, you can speed them up, you can put on subtitles, and you can auto translate what they're saying with YouTube now. So that's a really fun resource. This is what I mean about making Spanish a part of your life. Make the YouTube videos you watch in Spanish. Maybe if you watch Twitch, I watch some Twitch streamers and video games sometimes. I used to watch those guys in Spanish. I used to play video games, story-based games, and I'd put the video games in Spanish. And it just forces you to use Spanish even if you don't feel like it. Speechy says, where can I practice por en para? I need to practice the rules in context, as I can't remember them in the moment. So that comes back to what I was saying before about muscle memory. And when it comes to por en para, I wouldn't focus on treating them as the same word. A lot of times we want to treat them as it's the word for in English, and that's not really the case. I would just look up different scenarios that triggers each one, and it becomes a sort of feel thing, kind of like loque we were talking about before. So when it comes to por en para, look up different situations where you use it, and then treat them as two different words. Don't treat them as the same word anymore. The only time where I can see the crossover is when you're saying that you have something for somebody, and that's typically just if it's for someone, it's para for the most part, and unless it was by motivation, I did this for you and you're dramatic. But again, you just got to do a bunch of examples until you don't translate anymore, until it's muscle memory for you. A lot of people will just do examples and then they stop there. Right, they'll do a few examples just to get it right, as if they were doing an exam, and then they pass the exam and that's all they care about, and they never look at it again. I'd rather you take just 3 sentences, 3 to 5 sentences, master them over and over again until there's no more translation involved. It just comes naturally, instead of sitting there and just getting the answer right and then moving on and trying to do 20. Like, yeah, you did 20 to 30 exercises and you got an A on the exam and all that. That's great. But can you really use it, like you said, in the moment with the native speaker? And you probably can't. But if you do 3 to 5, where you're perfect at it, you can change the subjects, you can change the verbs, then you have a lot better chance of doing those other 20 to 30 exercises just based off of muscle memory, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Givion says, memorizing a song in Spanish is good practice. My favorite is Corazón Partido in FA sessions. Cool. And thank you, Givion. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the YouTube videos. I'll definitely keep them coming. I've got one that I just filmed today. I'll be posting over the next few days. So. And by the way, guys, I'm going to get to some more questions now. Just a quick thing. If you're new to the live stream, check out my free training. And if you are interested at all in my full Spanish program, at the end of that free training, it's also the best way to learn just more about what the whole program involves. And you also get a discount off of it for signing up for that free training. So you can either go to the link in my bio, the first link in my bio on Instagram, or you can go to michaelharperspanish.com, click on Let's Get Started, or if you're on YouTube, just click on the link in the description. It's all you got to do to sign up for that free training. Check it out today. At the end of it, again, you'll hear more about the full program if you're interested. Gracias por todo, Michael. Lo aprecio. Yo aprecio que tú estés aquí. I appreciate that you're here. So thank you so much. I couldn't do any of this without you guys. So I really do appreciate you being here. And I do want to connect more with you guys on these streams. It's been a crazy past couple months, so I haven't been able to be consistent with it. But I am Noel says, soy de Filipinas. Estoy aprendiendo español más o menos un año, pero me cuesta hablar. Well, the thing is that you write it perfectly, so you sound great. Just start. Like a lot of people know Spanish here, but they don't know it here, right? They know it in their head, but when it comes to actually using their mouth and tongue and getting the words out, they don't know it. So you want to be fluent in both. And that a lot of people underestimate that. Like speaking is way different than knowing Spanish. There's a lot of people that grow up in Spanish speaking households that know Spanish, they can understand it perfectly, but they can't speak it. And so you don't want to be one of those people. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you definitely, like, speaking is the most underrated form of practice. It's the best form of practice. Tropicana Medellin Radio is good practice. So that's a good resource. You guys can check out that comment if you're interested in. I haven't heard of that, but sounds good. Thank you, Roji, for that. Dave, can you talk more about your training? Yeah, just if you sign up for any of the sessions, a lot of them are pre-recorded. So, but if you can't make it there, just you'll get an email with a link to watch it, and it just it keeps you through the whole training because I want you not to have such a short attention span. I want you to watch the whole thing. It really just dives into my methodology that helped me accelerate Spanish learning and how you can do the same. It shows you what I think you should focus on so that you're not just spending years and years trying to learn Spanish. You can do it faster. You can make it a part of your life, how to use resources, how to connect with native speakers, and then obviously talk about my program at the end if it's something you're interested in. And if it's not, just leave. But yeah, definitely check it out. Keep the questions coming, guys. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of you guys. Welcome, Stefan. Welcome, Kathy. What helps you memorize or recall past tense conjugations from Ann Garcia? And it's like I said before, it's a lot of muscle memory. So I want to share my screen and show you this exercise I like to do. And I made a YouTube video back about this, what I'm about to talk about, a week or two ago. And the title of the YouTube video was Master 3 Verbs to Become Fluent in Spanish. Now, obviously that's a clickbait title, but what it means is I'd rather you learn and master 3 verbs right now in your practice than 30. Like if you're working on the past preterite tense, right? Then take hablar, vivir, comer, or you could take entender. You can take, just take a couple of verbs, master the heck out of them. I mean, conjugate it in every single tense possible you're working on, in this case the past preterite, for every single subject, and then make sentences with it, and then do it backwards and all as many possible ways as you can. I want it to become muscle memory. I don't want you to have to think. Like if you want to say I spoke, he spoke, we spoke, it should be hablé, hablamos, habló, vivimos, vivió, vivieron, vivisteis if you're learning vosotros form. entendió, like all of these you should be fluent in. I want you to be fluent in this conjugation that you're working on in these few verbs. Because then what happens is when you throw in a new verb, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a 60th verb, it's muscle memory, and you don't have to sit there and think about the conjugations as much anymore. It just comes out naturally. Like if I learn a new verb in Spanish, I don't have to like go through a conjugation chart. I just know what it's going to be because it's muscle memory. I just know what it's going to feel like and sound like. It's kind of like if someone throws a new verb at you in English, you kind of know how to work with it, just because you just know what it feels like. Yeah, Brad. So the link to YouTube is either in the Instagram description. I've got a link in my bio for the YouTube, or just go to YouTube and type in Michael Harper Spanish and it'll pop up. So, welcome, guys. Thank you, Take Fusa, for the follow. Thank you all for being followers, by the way. But yeah, if you go to YouTube, be sure to subscribe. I'm putting out some more YouTube videos every week or two. Yeah, Danny, what Danny said, SpanishDict.com, SpanishDict.com has amazing practice drills. So if you're into like drills and exercises, definitely go there. I used to use them a lot, and they changed their website a lot recently. Like I had no idea, and I went there and checked it out, and had some really good practice stuff. So welcome Isaiah and Matthew and Trevor. Welcome all you guys on Instagram, and if you're on YouTube, I appreciate you being there as well. So yeah, drop your questions. This is a good question. How many tenses are there in Spanish? I'm going to show you right now. I love doing this. Let me pull up something for you guys and show you. This might seem like a move kind of fast, and I really hope that you guys will be able to like see this as well. So if there we go. Hopefully you can see it, especially if you're on Instagram. If not, this will be like recorded on YouTube later, and you can go see it like on the full screen. So, all right. These are all of the possible tenses in Spanish. This here is the Spanish language. Like when I do my full Spanish program, by the way, just to plug it in, this is what you learn within hopefully 2, 3, 4 months. Like I put so much emphasis on the verb tenses, because if you learn this, you can speak in any tense possible in Spanish. Like imagine being able to say, I will talk, I would have talked, I had to talk, I will have spoken to him, I did talk, I was talking to, all of that. Like this is what you need to know for every verb. So you've got present tense. By the way, this is wordreference.com, just a regular conjugation chart for the verb hablar, which means to talk or to speak. You've got present tense, I speak, you speak, we talk. You've got imperfect, which is was speaking, used to speak, was speaking, was talking. Preterite, you've got spoke, that's talked, he, she talked to, we talked to. You've got future, which is will talk. Conditional is would talk, right? Then you come down here, and all of this comes from the same verb, haber, which means to have done something. You've got I have, and notice how hablado is repeated in all of this. And this just means the past tense version of hablar, which the past participle version, which is spoken or talked. You don't have to worry about these grammar names. So all of this here, think of have talked, I have talked, you have talked, we have talked, they have talked. This, the había form, is had talked. This is will have talked. This is would have talked. And then down here is something called the subjunctive. And whenever you see something called the future subjunctive, even down here, completely delete it, erase it, and yeah, it doesn't exist. So don't even worry about it. Only thing you need to know in the subjunctive is the present and the past subjunctive. And This is just for certain situations. But that is it. That's the Spanish language. And down here is technically the subjunctive for the verb haber that I mentioned earlier, like have spoken, would have spoken, will have, So that's it. Like that's the Spanish language. That's how many conjugations there are. Let me see some of these other comments I saw. I'd love to be fluent in Spanish. I can connect with my family. Just had a baby boy, and I would love to teach him. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for being here, Raleigh. When did I start learning Spanish? It would have been, I don't know. I don't think it's been 10 years now. I think it's been less than that by this point. But yeah, when I started to learn, I consider myself fluent after I was having fluent conversations. I mean, I could pretty much talk about whatever I wanted. I learned all these verb tenses and whatnot after a few months. And then within a year, I was definitely really, really good. So let's see. Also, love your videos. The way you explain stuff is great. Easy to absorb your info. I appreciate that. It's easier for me to explain Spanish because I'm not a native speaker. I had to learn it myself and become fluent. It feels like a native language to me now just because of how much I've immersed myself in it. But yeah. Have you ever practiced Spanish at a restaurant and the response from the waiter was in English? That happened a lot. My biggest tip when you're trying to practice your Spanish with a native speaker and they just won't let you is just keep talking to them in Spanish. Like at the end of the day, no one can control if they want to talk in English, fine, but you talk in Spanish. And nowadays it'll happen to me where I'll speak perfect Spanish, obviously, to a native speaker that I meet, and they still want to practice their English. And I just keep, excuse me, if you're persistent, you have to be the persistent one. If you're persistent, you keep talking in Spanish, they will switch to Spanish. They just will. So, yeah. Taz asks, how do you learn the conversation side with your course? Is that covered in the free training? Well, yes and no. So the free training will talk about the importance of speaking and how you can do that. And I do have a conversation program that's separate from my full program as well that I just launched. But in the full program, you learn about the end of the free training. It talks about, it gives you all the tools necessary to be able to speak. So it's your responsibility at the end of the day to find people to speak with, to speak out loud. You can talk to yourself. Nowadays, you can talk to ChatGPT and different AI things in Spanish. So there's so many ways to speak Spanish. But what you need is the roadmap and the tools to know what to learn and when, so that you're able to form sentences and you're able to speak, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Who else? I wanted to say something else about that, I think. But yeah, if you're trying to talk with a native speaker in Spanish and they won't, they just keep switching to English, you just stay in Spanish. Stay in Spanish. Or you can even tell them, like, quiero practicar español. I want to practice Spanish. Or you can even tell them, hey, if you want to talk in English, great, but I'm going to talk in Spanish. And so you can do whatever you want at the end of the day, right? And if they can do whatever they want, and so they decide to speak in English, whatever. All right, guys, I'll see if any last minute questions come in. This was an awesome stream. I'll try to be back tomorrow or the next day, a couple more times this week, and be more consistent with these and connect with you guys. So watch out for it. If you're on YouTube, turn on notifications, subscribe. Last time, I'll mention it, guys. Just obviously, this is my resource for you guys. This is my business. I've got a free training, and it'll show you just my methodology, what I do differently to learn Spanish, sort of the roadmap, and to get you fluent in Spanish and accelerate your Spanish learning. So try to make it less complicated. I want you to know what to focus on, what not to focus on. Click on the free training. The link is in my first link in my bio on Instagram, michaelharperspanish.com. Click on Let's Get Started. Or if you're on YouTube, just click on the link in the description. At the end of that free training, you hear more about my full Spanish program called A to Z Spanish University, and you get a special exclusive discount just because you signed up for that free training. And Garcia, conjugations are helpful to me. Take speaking to the next level. What helped me learn vocabulary words on the other side of Spanish? just using Spanish every day. Like if you're constantly trying to translate things in your head and figure out how to say stuff in Spanish, you're going to naturally learn vocabulary, and you're going to learn vocabulary that you're actually going to remember because it's useful vocabulary to you. So I was saying this, gave this example at the beginning. If you just try to learn a bunch of different vocabulary words for food and whatnot, and you learn how to say cucumber and pickle and tomato, but you never use any of those things, what's the likelihood of your brain remembering that, especially in the beginning? You can always learn that later on, but you could have been focusing that energy on actually learning vocabulary that you're going to use within the next few days. So if you're just constantly thinking in Spanish, and you think a lot of the thoughts you think every single day are always the same, like most of them. So yeah, learn vocabulary is useful to you, and the best way to do that is simply by putting your phone in Spanish, listening to songs in Spanish, speaking and thinking and constantly translating. Always be translating. ABT, ABT. Always be translating. All right, that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Remember to always be translating. Focus on the verbs. Sign up for my free training if you're serious. If you're a real Spanish learner and you want to learn this thing, make sure that you sign up for it. And thank you for following me. I really, really appreciate you guys following me. It's really is humbling. I'm so blessed to be able to do what I'm passionate about doing, which is helping you guys learn Spanish, and I really hope that I'm a part of it. So see you guys hopefully tomorrow, if not the next day. This recording, by the way, will be on YouTube. So if you want to watch this whole live stream again and even be able to skip through it, go to YouTube and subscribe. Ciao. Nos vemos.